In 2005, Roseanne and I traveled throughout southern Africa, just praying and seeking God's will. The Lord was starting to reveal to us a strategy that would be effective in creating a long-term, sustainable impact into the rural areas of Africa. Well, really what God showed us was a three-tier approach to missions. Tier one was what we call the Live School program, where we train church pastors, church elders, Christian businessmen, and to have a heart for rural missions. Right now, the church in the urban areas is not engaged in rural outreaches or evangelism. The gospel will never go forth into the rural areas effectively and in a sustainable way unless the African church is engaged. It's about an 18-month program. Right now we're running about 10 schools in 4 different countries, and we are hoping that out of the school will be created a desire to touch the rural areas with the Father's love and with practical support. Now the second tier, what we ask is each of those live schools towards the end of the 18-month program to nominate one young man from their city or their town to be trained at our base camp in Kazangula, Zambia. When these young men are sent to us, they go through intense training. They're out in the villages every weekend. We impart, mentor, live with, eat with, talk with, walk alongside for 1 month. And we take a total of 14 young men a year and send them back to the town or area that they came from. And that their role is now to go out and to do the work of the ministry in the rural area. The areas that there is no Christian witness at the moment.
One of our LMC Africa graduates, his name is Finn Kondowe, he had planted a church in one of the villages called Nwizi. He saw a great need for a bridge school because the way the schools are set up, the government schools in this case are 5 miles away from the rural villages. So for the younger children, it's impossible for them to walk there. So he set up this bridge school. The children are trained and they're educated up to an age where they're able to actually walk to the school.
One of our graduates from our school in Kenya, Elias and his wife Purity, actually went up into the desert region of very north Kenya. They set up these 2 long greenhouses made out of plastic and started to grow crops. And it turns out that they're now feeding 3 villages. The indigenous people of that area are Muslims. They are Muslim camel traders. And so they have had the opportunity to feed and to witness to these nomadic tribes. Well, the third tier is really to utilize the base camp in Kazangula, not only as a training center for our own evangelists and church planners, but also for the community. And so we're starting a job skills training. We're starting a diagnostic clinic, which will also have a dispensary. We're starting a water bottling factory. Water bottling, we will obviously sell it commercially to help support the mission, but we will also be giving a lot away into the villages. We also have a model farm there that we're starting now, as well as a little forestry nursery. The area that we're in Kazangula has a lot of hardwoods. They've been really deforested, and so we're starting a replanting program. It's essential for the long-term health of the country of Zambia, particularly where we are. And so there's a lot of projects, a lot of exciting things going on. It all seems a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but thank God that He's in control and we just follow after Him.
The most exciting part about being there is to see the people. There's orphan children all over. There's incredible poverty and people are not encouraged. So when we get there and we show them the love of God, they can't believe that the Lord has actually sent them people from so far away to tell them about how much He loves them.
As we go into the villages, one of the greatest needs that we see is pure water, clean water, drinking potable water.
They were asking us for prayer because they were sick, but I knew that the symptoms were from being dehydrated. So the need for clean water is huge there.
Many of the women and the older girls, sometimes even the boys, will go and collect water. It may be miles away. They're spending hours and hours and hours of time, valuable time, the time that they could be using in farming or starting a little business. The vital need in the villages is a well. And so we have started a program where we can identify those villages that are furthest from a water source. And we have started to raise funds to put a well into those villages. And we've been in villages where a well has been hit and the water's gushed out, and it's the most incredible sight, just people running around laughing and the water pouring over them. We've got a picture of kids bathing in a little metal sink. It's the first bath they ever had in their lives. And just incredible how valuable water is. And so if anyone has a heart to be part of that, we'd love to connect with them and talk about what can be done to bring water to the villages of rural Africa.
We would love for people to partner with us. First of all, with prayer. Prayer is the most important thing. We literally feel the prayers of people when we're in Africa. There are times when it's very dark and we can feel the church praying, we can feel our partners and our friends praying. So we covet prayers. Also, participation in coming on a trip. Come out and see what God is doing. Third of all, provision. Any kind of monthly support of any amount is greatly appreciated and goes really far to advance the mission and advance the vision.
I'd just like to close this time with a blessing over you and your family. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you